Wow, welcome back. I'm Andrew, your crypto guy on the internet. I smell some fear in the markets. Hopefully you guys didn't sell off Friday and Saturday. I hope you kept a cool head because we have some good news. Bitcoin and Ethereum held up pretty well. Now, if we want to maintain our current momentum despite recent events, Bitcoin needs to close today, the weekly, above 26.3. If it can do that, we retain the 200 MA and we're still alive, okay? If we close below 26.3, it's a little murky until we get the next catalyst, which I'll explain here in a second. First, the bad news. Gary Gensler is swinging at everybody. He comes out on CNBC, calls crypto a frenzy of hucksters and fraudsters and scam artists. He then said, "That's my job." Just kidding. But he does represent the SEC, which represents the big banks, the federal government. And big banks are rapidly consolidating. They're trying to funnel into a CBDC, which we all know is an absolute sci-fi dystopia and the end of all of our freedoms. Not to get too dramatic, but that is the case. This feels to me like the political move of accusing your enemy of what you're doing. So I'll give you an analogy. Let's say I'm running around robbing people. I'm a robber. I'm a bad guy. And I get the feeling that somebody's going to come after me for that. So the first thing I do is point them out publicly and go, "Hey, look at them. They're robbing people. They're a fraudster." And everybody looks at them and they have to defend themselves. And then I scurry away and keep robbing people. That happens in politics every day. They're doing it to Trump right now. But that's what this feels like. Gary comes out the other day and he says flat out that we already have digital currency. It's the US dollar, meaning that any crypto, anything else out there is the enemy and I'm here to crush it. Okay, cool, Gary. Now, if you're trying to protect me as an investor, what are you protecting me from? Success? Making money? Because I'll be honest, Gary, the only time I've lost money in crypto was because of you. So these last two big drops were because of Gary. Every main fear was from Gary and the SEC going after the crypto world. Without them, we're doing great. Now, we did have FTX collapse, which I don't know where he was during that. He's going after everybody except the actual bad guys. And then there was the Luna collapse, which I'm still not sure who caused that. Luna, I lost a little bit, but not because I was invested there. I got out in time. But I actually jumped in and tried to buy Luna when I thought it was a bottom as like a gamble. Maybe it'll come back, you know. But that money ended up getting burned. It was play money anyhow. So that was a rare two examples of money being lost with crypto on its own in the Wild West environment. But there were so many more gains by comparison than losses. And you can make a ton of money in crypto doing very simple strategies that I've shown you previously. The only problem, really, is this stuff. So what's Gary doing other than calling us all fraudsters? Is he goes after the two biggest boys and he tries to make it seem like it's the same activity between both. He goes after Coinbase and Binance within 24 hours and announces them both on TV at the same time. So Jim Cramer and the other talking head morons make us all seem like we're equally evil and we're all terrorists. No. Gensler goes after Coinbase for selling unregistered securities. Remember, he named all cryptos securities. And that's not official, that's not proven, but he accuses Coinbase of selling these things, which, of course, Coinbase has all kinds of coins on there. What's the problem with becoming a security? There's nothing wrong with being a security. But once you are deemed a security, everything you've done before that was now illegal in the eyes of the SEC. So the SEC will then confiscate every penny you've made up until this point, which would essentially destroy the business. And so that's what Gary wants to do with all of these crypto coins. Is once he names them a security, they can't just, we're a security now, we'll just file the paperwork. No, they become a security and then every penny you've made is now being confiscated. Good luck running a business with no money. And that's the plan, to destroy all these altcoins and consolidate power to a handful of big banks and then steer us into a CBDC for absolute federal control over your lives. So we want to fight against that, guys. By comparison, Binance is being accused of that, plus commingling funds and fraud. So the case against Binance US is substantially worse. So Binance US is, after a few years of deliberation in courts, they're probably going to close up shop and bail. Binance proper is a global company. They really don't need the US, but they're trying to operate here because there's a lot of capital in the US. But Gary and the Biden administration is doing everything they can to shut down any on and off ramps going to crypto because they're trying to protect the big banks. So if the US dollar is a giant house of cards that exists solely on $32 trillion of debt, smart people are going, I don't think that's going to work long term. I kind of want a way out of this corrupt system. And so crypto was created as a counter to the corrupt, broken US monetary system. And they're like little life rafts leaving a sinking ship. And so Gary is shooting all the life rafts to make sure we sink with him. And then, in light of Coinbase and Binance being in trouble, Robinhood, a small player in the crypto world, goes, they bend the knee immediately before anyone even looks at them. So they delist Solana, Cardano, and Polygon, big names in the crypto world. They delist them without even asking any questions. And this made the crypto world a little upset. They're going, hey, Robinhood, you just showed up with Coinbase and the CFTC for a little hearing. We thought you were on our side, that you were going to join the fight. But I get it. I understand Robinhood's move here. They're going, listen, we primarily trade stocks. We do a little crypto, but why should we take the chance? Why should we jump into a fight when Coinbase and Binance, the big boys, are already fighting the SEC? And it's going to cost them hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to fight the SEC. How about we just comply initially and then watch that fight play out? And then when the dust settles, we will reposition ourselves according to the results. So I understand what Robinhood's doing here. They're protecting their money. I think that's a wuss move, but if I was on their board, I'd probably do the same thing. And then Crypto.com is winding down the US institutional business. So the retail operations is still going to be there. So you and I can still trade crypto on Crypto.com. Not that I do, but you could if you wanted to. But they're not that big, and so they're kind of pulling out a little bit too, because they're watching this, the Coinbase and the Binance thing, and they don't want to get tied in with that same problem. All right. Kraken has been quiet on this. Kraken's still operating, and they're watching. Remember, they got screwed with the staking thing real hard. I'm still on Kraken. No, I never leave crypto on exchanges, okay? Again, I don't know how many times they have to show us this lesson, but it's not that these exchanges are going to rob you. It's that Gensler will make sure that if you have money on exchanges, you're going to lose it, okay? And then he blames the exchanges for failures. He causes the problem and then blames it on the exchanges for the problem. See, people are losing money. They're going bankrupt because of crypto. It's like, no, you broke crypto. Crypto itself is fine. The technology is great. But when you attack it, everybody gets afraid, and then the value of everything goes down, and then Gensler goes, see, the value's going down. It's bogus. It's like, no, you caused that, asshole. So that's what he's doing. And he used to be like super pro crypto. He's been compromised. He's a tool somewhere. I don't know what's happening with him, but I don't like this guy. And we are stuck with Gensler until 2026. Now, if we get a new president, that can change things up a little bit, but I'll get into that in a minute. But we have some good news coming up here, some interesting things, and that's why smart money didn't sell off with the rest of the retail panic. We have the Hinman documents coming out soon. Now, what are the Hinman documents? The previous SEC chair, Mr. Hinman, he said that Ethereum is not a security. And so it wasn't. But then Gary Gensler came out and said it was once he became the chair. Now, in the Ripple case against the SEC, after 3 years and $200 million spent defending themselves, Ripple goes, can we just see the Hinman documents? What led Mr. Hinman to conclude that Ethereum was not a security? Because maybe that could give us some insight on this example of XRP being a security or not. And the judge went, yeah, okay, I want to see that. And the SEC went, we've kept that sealed. No one can see that. Why? Don't you think that's pertinent to this case? And the SEC has since scrubbed Hinman's biography from their website. They want us to not even remember that Hinman existed, but he did, and his emails and documents still exist, and we have them as part of discovery. So the judge is going to see these documents on June 13th in 2 days, and that could really help Ripple. Because if their situation is similar to Ethereum's, then that would mean that, hey, maybe XRP is not a security. Now, knowing Hinman, his reasoning would be Ethereum's not a security because it's sufficiently decentralized. Now, I don't know what constitutes sufficiently decentralized. Hopefully we get some insight into that reasoning when these documents come out. But do I think XRP is decentralized? Not really. Probably not. So I don't know if Ripple's going to win based on that. But we'll see. I mean, it's worth the fight, right? If Ripple thinks they're not a security and they're willing to throw $200 million at it, maybe they have a real case. So we'll see. June 13th is when this stuff comes out and we all get to see it. It's going to be fun. And then the Fed meeting, 13th and 14th. On the 14th, they're going to come out and they're going to tell us whether they're raising rates again for June. Now, the consensus is that annualized inflation is going to be 4.1%. It was 4.9 last report. So we're going down pretty fast. This is good. It's a nice trend. So the concern is, if the Fed indeed pauses interest rate hikes, that would cause a little bit of a rally across all markets, okay? And that is an inflationary event, meaning just a month after that, July 25th and 26th, they're going to have to raise rates again anyhow. And so with that cloud of doubt, that means that if they pause in June, that market rally will be kind of hesitant, because if it's too strong, then they're going to have to raise rates on us anyhow. The inflation number that really matters is the one we see in July. So if they pause in June and it's not too much of a party time, and that inflation continues to trend downwards, even though they paused rates, that means the Fed has done enough with the rate hikes and we can breathe a huge sigh of relief. That's the first part of the soft landing that up until this point was complete fantasy land. Now, do I think they're going to pause rates? Probably. But I think in July they're going to look at the numbers and go, maybe we should raise rates like another quarter of a point. That's what I predict to be happening, okay? Because they don't want us to have fun yet at all. They want us to be sullen and quiet and stop spending money so we can get inflation under control. Now, our government is still throwing billions of dollars at a pointless war, but that's nothing that you and I can control. They come after us for trying to improve our lives. We're the ones who are making the mistakes here, certainly not the federal government. Gensler he's appointed by the president, and he lasts until, he's got like another 1,000 days to go. So I think 2026 is when he's out as chair. And he wants to become like the Treasury Secretary, like Janet Yellen's job. And that would be even worse for crypto. But if we get a new president who's pro-crypto, he could effectively neuter Gary in any anti-crypto bills, okay? So which presidential candidates are pro-crypto? Here are the options for the Republican side. Nikki Haley is a corporate stooge. She's nothing. Donald Trump, you think, is pro-crypto. He's somewhat against crypto. I've been reading a lot about Trump for the past 6 years. I've seen both sides out of him. He sells NFTs, but that's because he's a cartoon rich guy. You know, he wants to make money any way he can, and he knows people buy him up in 2 seconds. So he's kind of pro crypto in that he sells NFTs. So he's a little interested in it. And I've seen tweets from him on both sides. He says Bitcoin's a scam, it's fake money. That was like 4 years ago. But then I've also seen stuff like people should be able to buy Bitcoin as a preservation of value, kind of like gold. Okay, but his main concern is keeping the dollar at the top. King dollar must remain king dollar. So any threat, any other currency outside of that, he sees as an enemy. And he sees that crypto, things like Bitcoin, could replace the dollar, which it won't. That's not the aim. So overall, Trump's current understanding of crypto is that it's vaguely a threat against the dollar. So he doesn't like that. Would he attack crypto? No. But he wouldn't defend it either. If an anti-crypto bill came on his desk, he'd probably sign it. So Trump is not the pro-crypto choice here. Biden would destroy crypto day one. He's currently trying to do that, so we know Biden's out as a choice. Vivek, though, this new young guy, tech finance CEO stud, he showed up. I've seen a few interviews with him. He was on CNN, he nailed it. And then he went to Bitcoin Miami, and this guy was super bullish on crypto. He's all in on crypto. So if you want a young guy that's on our side, Vivek. I love this dude. Is he going to win? No. He's a new face. Nobody knows this guy. But every time he opens his mouth, he's batting 1,000 with me. I want him to stick around in the scene because these people, they're going to die off soon. Okay, the Mike Pences, the Chris Christies, right, the Joe Bidens, they're gone in 10 years, okay? And he's the next generation. If we get more guys like him and you're in crypto, that is a really, really good thing, okay? Mike Pence, nobody cares about him. Chris Christie, get out of here. Ron DeSantis is pro-crypto, but he doesn't seem to understand it very well. So and that can change. So when he was in that Twitter Spaces, somebody brought up CBDCs. And Ron DeSantis hates CBDCs. I believe he was the first state that came out and went, we're not doing CBDCs here. That is straight evil. We're not going to allow that. Now, the Fed can, overwhelm a state pretty easily. But he came out early, Ron did, against CBDCs. The opposite of a CBDC is crypto. And so somebody goes, okay, Ron, are you pro-Bitcoin? Something like that. And he goes, people should be able to do Bitcoin. You don't really do Bitcoin. So that tells me he doesn't fully understand it, but he likes the theory of it, the idea of a Bitcoin, okay? Something decentralized that's neutral across the planet, that is an alternative to a dying dollar or fiat currency that's based entirely on lies and debt. It's not actually backed by gold or anything. So he goes, there should be hard money, hard assets with fundamentals and mathematics on its side, because the US dollar does not have that. It's based on fear. So Ron DeSantis was pro-Bitcoin, but he doesn't seem to fully understand it. But like I said, that can change. He just has to learn a little bit. Okay, so out of these choices, the most pro-Bitcoin on the Republican side is Vivek, followed by Ron DeSantis. Now, I don't know who Doug Burgum is. Tim Scott seems like a solid dude. I don't know what his position on crypto is. I tried to find it. There's nothing on that with him. Mr. Hutchinson, probably not. He smells like another Nikki Haley type, somebody that the CNN's going to try to push, but that's just a waste of time. None of the Liz Cheney, no, hard no, no, absolutely not. Glenn, not too familiar. Christie, get out of here. John Bolton, no thanks. So on the Democrat side, Biden is who they're going to go with. But if they allowed a debate, which I really hope they do, the most pro-crypto candidate out of all the choices is a Democrat. And that is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and the media is not doing him any favors. So why would a Democrat be pro-Bitcoin and pro-crypto? Well, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Kennedy, does that sound familiar? His uncle was President JFK, who was assassinated by the CIA in 1963. So JFK comes out and he goes, The world is run by a secret cabal of powerful, shadowy people, and I'm going to expose that whole thing. He was then assassinated in broad daylight. The CIA did it. The FBI was in on it, and Lyndon Johnson likely gave the order. That's not a conspiracy. That's what happened. The CIA killed JFK. And that's not enough. It wasn't just his uncle who was killed. His own father, Robert Kennedy Sr., was assassinated by the CIA 5 years later when he was trying to run for president. And then there's plenty of other dead Kennedys too. There's a whole band named after him. So Robert Kennedy could have slunk away into the shadows. Hey, if I speak up, they're going to kill me too. Instead, in his old age, he's like, I got to fix this. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is what Democrats used to be in the 60s. Anti-war, distrustful of the government, and all in on individual freedom and sovereignty. That is not what the Democratic Party is in its current form. So even though he's a Democrat, he sounds like a conservative based on current definitions. And what that really shows me is that we've gone astray here. Things have switched, and it's all confusing. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. comes out with some hard truths, and he's not afraid, and he has all the reasons to be. Now, every headline, even on CoinDesk, kind of screws him over a little bit. Read this quickly. RFK Jr. raises crypto taxes. No, he doesn't raise crypto taxes. If you stopped reading here, you'd be misled. Raises crypto taxes regulation as issues in opening days of 2024 presidential race. It sounds like at a glance, he wants to raise crypto taxes. It's the opposite of that. He goes, hang on a second, I have issues with these new crypto taxes. Joe Biden wanted to tax Bitcoin miners more for the energy that they used. But you're supposed to just charge everybody equally. You don't charge some people more for electricity than others. And so an extra tax on energy for crypto mining was odd. And so I'm just found this example of the media trying to screw him over in little ways. But RFK Jr., especially with his speech at Bitcoin Miami, was the most bullish on Bitcoin and crypto that I've ever heard from anybody. He's against the Ukraine war. He's against mandates. He wants to be able to ask questions about science, because that's what science is. And he himself, if you listen to his voice, and this is really the only thing that's going to hurt him with casual viewers, his vocal cords are spasmodic because apparently it was a side effect to a vaccine. So the bottom line is, don't panic. We get an end of the world headline in crypto every 15 minutes. So until the feds are knocking on my door, I'm going to keep doing this shit. And even when they knock at the door, as soon as they leave, I'm going to log into OKX or something. I'm going to find a way around this system because it's broken, and I'm not going to play into the CBDC bullshit. The timer is short. If the Democrats lose this next election, the CBDC stuff is done. With crypto, Bitcoin is the safe choice because it's a commodity, and the SEC can't attack it. They can't sue anybody over Bitcoin. Ethereum is the second safest choice, and then there's a huge gap, and you have all the altcoins. And even though you have some strong players that mean well, like Solana and Matic and Cardano, they are currently being heavily attacked by Gary Gensler. So if they can just wait this out, defend themselves, and wait until we get this next president, who hopefully is somebody like RFK Jr., who's pro-crypto, then all this crap, him and his lawsuits, they get thrown out, and we actually get some proper regulation, and then we can all move forward, and the U.S. can remain dominant when it comes to technology and finance. Right now, we are giving that up for all the wrong reasons. All these crypto companies, if this stuff doesn't change its tune, they're all going to Europe, they're going to the UAE, Singapore, Hong Kong, they're going everywhere else but here, and we need them here if we want to maintain our supremacy. Our current government leaders don't see that. And if we want to be in the lead for the next rung of technological advancement, we need to come up with some fair regulation right now, and you gotta stop all this shit. We're all right. I took this as a buying opportunity. I'm already making a little bit of a profit on a few things. Look at this. We're coming right back up, baby. If we can turn this back into support on render, for example, I think we'll be all right. Bitcoin has to hit 26.3 on the weekly close to maintain the momentum we had. But even if we don't hit that number, we still have some possibly bullish things coming out this week. All right? So don't panic. Zoom out. We've seen this kind of shit before. Everything's fine for now.